From LALATE News Headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning on Mornings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus recon, which is passed. Wow. In this recording, we'll go over the monthly stimulus checks and why the Democrats are likely to give you more months of checks. Then we got to the recon. Done deal. I've been saying done deal for a few weeks. Now I can say passed. It passed the Senate over 9. I'll have all the breaking details in this recording. And then we go to the two-path process, recon and bipartisan. What's next? When is the House coming back? And when are they getting this all done? I'll have all the breaking details in this big morning's broadcast. Then we cut to fifth stimulus, which raises your benefits up a lifetime. And then we cut to the big money, as one viewer got over $50,000 from this channel. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, and the recon is passed, at least for step one. I have all the incredible deliciousness as Mornings LA starts right now. You made it to the middle of the week. How you doing? Getting over the hump. So how are you doing? Hope the weather is great where you are. It's been paradise here. Again, paradise. Last night I was near the beach at night and it was cold. I had shorts on and a t-shirt. I was like, brr, I'm in the Arctic Circle. What's going on here? If you're in the live chat, tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Well, here we go. Fourth stimulus. We're going to be going over the fourth stimulus check update of 2021 in this recording. First, we'll be going over those monthly stimulus checks, and why you're likely to get more months of checks for those Democrats. Then we cut to the recon. Done deal? No, passed. It sounds just so much better. I've been telling you over the last few weeks it was a done deal. Well, I was right. Check that one off the list again. Now it's passed. The recon procedural passed overnight in the Senate. Next step, the House. I'll go over all the incredible details in the second part of this video. Then we cut to the two-path process, recon and bipartisan, and we'll go over what's going on next as we go to the next step. Then we turn to fifth stimulus, which is just days away. September's knocking on our door, unless that's a pizza delivery guy. And that fifth stimulus raises your benefits up if you're on SSI and SSDI. And then we turn to this, as one viewer got over $50,000 for money for rent, utilities, SNAP, and internet. I'll go over how you can get this big money as well. And this is LALATE, America's only 24-hour-a-day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America. Live in the morning and taped in the afternoons. Coming up next is Mornings Crypto, live on air. And then noontime, live on air at 11 a.m. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record for a reason. There's no one like this across the globe. And join this channel. Be a part of this family or this channel over the next few weeks as you see new shows added. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. Like the video. Don't forget to like the video. It helps in the algorithm rankings. 3,000 likes. And let's get to the breaking news. Also consider becoming a Purple Hawk. Monthly stimulus check, Senate versus House, House versus Democrats. Let's go over all the details starting right now. When you look at the Senate versus House, they're both monthly, but they're different amounts of checks and also different amounts of the checks. So House, pandemic plus 1 year, monthly stimulus check. Senate, July to December. Let's go over the payouts. House, $1,000 a month. After the first month, Senate, a monthly unknown, but word on the street is it's this. Deliciousness, $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000. Or $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400. Well, if you heard the news this week, United Airlines is requiring all its employees to be vaccinated. Two other airlines followed as well. The armed services are requiring all of its armed active duty members to become vaccinated as well. And with that, the concern is Delta. In fact, Southwest Airlines gave an economic advisory this morning, or earnings guidance, I guess I should say, that says they may be dropping mean price targets because of Delta is causing cancellation of flights this fall. So with that, House bill would likely pay the full extent of monthly stimulus checks July to the pandemic plus 1 year, which would be more than 12 checks, which would be more than $13,000. Compare that to this and the Senate and the Senate. I think you have an opinion. Vote House or Senate, and jump in the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Remember, the House bill starts from when it becomes law, whereas the Senate does not. So the Senate, you would lose particular months if it takes longer. So that's That's why the House looks more beneficial across the board. Who gets this monthly stimulus check? You do. Democrats represent that if you got third, you get a forced stimulus check. Single individual, 75,000 or less. Democrats represent, you get a forced stimulus check. Married couple, 150,000 or less. Democrats represent, you get a forced stimulus check. Double it. Family of four, Democrats represent, you get a forced stimulus check. Quadruple it. And if you are on benefits, Democrats represent, you get a forced stimulus check. The forced stimulus check is not income. It's not taxable. And the forced stimulus check is the same amount for adult dependents. The forced stimulus check is not a waivable check. So if you're at the Dodgers game and you see the wave coming, you go like, hey, and then you sit down. And then you look over to your left and say, oh, there's the check. He didn't stand up for the wave. Hey, Chuck, how you doing? How come you didn't stand up for the Dodger wave? Giant fan. No, it's not a Giant fan. It's just not a waivable check. Can we top that? Yes, as we go into the second part of this video. Done deal. Recon has now passed. I don't need to say done deal anymore because now it's passed. I have been telling you that the Senate Democrat caucus has been meeting over the last 2 weeks to ensure they were passing the $3.5 trillion. They did. I'll go over what happened overnight and why it's done so early. Yes, it was supposed to still be going on the voting today, so if you're a little surprised by the breaking news, I am too as well. Then we cut to step 3. We go to the third part of this video. What goes on next? When does Nancy bring the House back in session? When are they voting? I have all those details coming up later in this video, in the final 15 minutes of this video. Stay to the very end. And then we cut to fifth stimulus, which is knocking on the door. And this is just a few days away in September. It raises your benefits up if you're SSI, SSDI, and VA benefits. I have all those details and more. But first, let's get some money. Get a pen and paper ready. I'm going to get you some money for rent, utilities, mortgage, homeowners assistance, and also SNAP. You know, when I started recording these videos a few weeks ago for rent, I said I can get you 4 to 6 months of rent, about $5,000. I undervalued that just a little bit. Instead of $5,000, I was able to get viewers $27,000. And congratulations, Elizabeth, who got $27,000 as a Purple Hawk. If you haven't become a member, consider doing it right now. Mark, $25,000. Nancy, $24,000. Richard, $22,000. Nisi, $20,000. The success stories are still coming in nightly. Pamela got $12,000 for rent. Carla got multiple sums of items. Tiffany got multiple sums, including $13,000 of rent. Randy, multiples, including $6,000 for rent. Jennifer, multiple items, including $5,000 for rent. And Cecilia got some money for heat. Then when we talked about utilities, I said I can get you $300 for utilities. Are you ready to see how much people got for utilities? Bam. Wow. Great job, Nancy. $7,000 for utilities. $6,500 for utilities for Mark, and Angela, $5,000 for utilities. When we talk about SNAP, we refer to money for food, and how much do people get? I say you can get $4,000 to $6,000. How much do they get? Are you ready for this one? Wow, great job, Louie. Congratulations. $18,000 for Louie for SNAP. $10,000 for John, $5,000 for Nancy. And then for viewers who got multiple sums of money, are you ready for this one? Can I hear a drum roll? Bam. Wow, Nancy, congratulations. Got $32,000 as a viewer and a member and a Purple Hawk of this channel for rent, utilities, and SNAP. Nisi, $23,000 as a Purple Hawk, getting 3 items from this channel. And Mark, $32,000 from getting 2 items on this channel. 2 items? Yeah. So over 7 days of recording, I said on camera to Mark specifically, I said, Mark, you did a great job with 2 items of $32,000, but why did you not get SNAP? Go get some SNAP. And I thought maybe he'll get a couple $1,000s for SNAP, maybe bring him to $35,000, maybe $8,000 for SNAP, bringing him to $40,000. So he listened to my videos. True Purple Power push. I pushed him and he pushed. He went out and got that SNAP himself, called Department of Agriculture. How much do you think he got? You think he got 8,000, brought him to 40,000, brought grand total of 40,000? Well, you ready for this one? Here we go. He got $19,000 for SNAP. Mark's grand total is $50,000. I'm so excited for him and his family. And this is LALATE. This is what I've been doing since day one. In spring of last year, EIDL grants and EIDL loans were not coming. So on camera and off camera, I was helping people get approved. I was working on applications in the middle of the night for people, doing and getting nearly 10, sometimes 10 applications approved overnight at $150,000 a pop. Within a few weeks, we approved $25 million of EIDL loans from this channel. Then in fall of 2020, second stimulus was not coming, but I stepped forward and I got viewers $250,000 in rent, paying their rent across the board. Like Tyrone, family of 4 out of Boston, got $15,000 for his rent from December all the way to February. Now we're doing it again, just in bigger numbers. In fact, I was thinking this morning, I think we may be doing 250,000 every few days. That's the magnitude of how much money viewers are getting. You are killing it. So, if you've not gotten this money before and just found this channel, today's your day. If you try to get that money but haven't been able to find it, now's your day as well. You're going to watch this video with me. And if you got one item, you can get the other items right now. Get a pen, paper ready. We're going to get some rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and also homeowners utilities. We're going to reach out to different places with different eligibility. If one says no, reach out to the next. Are you ready? You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, your county housing authority, your state hall, your state housing authority. The keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. You don't say words they don't know, like stimulus or Ron Portman's wonderful singing career. They don't know that. They don't want to know that. And there you go. Congratulations to the wonderful people who got money for rent, and also Tim and Linda got as well. If you got rent utilities, posted in the live chat. Let's now cut to Snap. What is Snap? Snap is money for food. How much does it pay? A lot. Louis got $18,000, John 10 to 12,000, and Mark 19,000. Lynn Glenn got it for herself and her son, and her mom, Gail, got it as well. What is SNAP? It's money for food. How do you get it? Department of Agriculture. Eligibility is easier than a stimulus check. And how much does it pay from Department of Agriculture? A family of four out of Hawaii gets upwards of $16,000 a year. Wow, incredible, great news. Why so much money? Because of two executive orders, one from Biden, one from Trump, that raise your benefits up 15% between now and December. So go get it. And if you got SNAP, post in live chat. We're killing it. We've so far gotten $27,000 for rent, $19,000 for SNAP, $8,000 for utilities, and we're just getting started. And we're only at the 11-minute mark. Wow, we're flying. The next part of the money is the refund check coming back from your state. States have been ordered to return money back to you due to overpayment of unemployment benefits and a computer error. Where is it landing, this direct deposit? Can you track it? Yeah, contact your state. Say, hi, state. Can you track that check due to overpayment and a computer error? And when you track it, can you actually turn the computer on? It sort of helps. And plug in the keyboard as well. One of you got $3,000 for this, another of you got $5,000 for this. And finally, the refund check coming back from IRS on that 2020 return. Margaret got it, Todd got it, Michael got it. Where is it landing? It's landing by direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. It's a waivable check. Sorry, Mitch, I know you hate to hear that. It's a waivable check. There's a new wave every week. Average payouts are about $1,200, $1,400 a week. There's a direct deposit and a mail check date every week from IRS. Before we continue with that, here's a personal message. If you're in the live chats and you have not yet posted your success for rent, utilities, or SNAP, please do. Do it on all the videos that you watch today. Why? Because the spirit of this channel is me helping you and you helping others. And when you do that, you help others immensely. 3 different ways. Number 1, when viewers see you post your success story, whether it's $100 or $1,000, it inspires them to go get the money. They may have never thought that this was something available to them. And then when they realize they have a rent bill and they realize other people's rent is being paid, then they realize, I should go get this. They may have never thought of having their utility bill paid, or they may have never heard of SNAP at all. And now they realize they should go get it. Number 2, Art Sullivan and Nisi inspired us by getting 3 items, and now other people getting 3 items, like Nancy. Mark got 2 items. I said, Mark, go get the 3rd. Like Art and Nisi, and he did. He got 50,000. And finally, it updates us about the numbers. All right, let's cut back down to the continuation of unemployment benefits. How much, where, and when? Let's go over the details. Let's say you have $9,000 of unemployment benefits. You pay $5,000 of taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, getting back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. Can you track it? Yeah, go to irs.gov and do a transcript search. 70% of the time it'll work. It'll reveal the tax return you filed and the taxes you paid. It'll also reveal some stuff you wish you'd never seen. Like when Ron Portman was on Dancing with the Stars. Did he dance with the star, or did the star run away from him? And then it'll reveal the refund check you getting back from IRS. Can we top that? We can, as we go into the second part of your forced stimulus check updated right now. And at this point, I usually say done deal, but now I can say passed. Yes. I had been telling you over the last 2 weeks that the Democratic senators had met in caucus several times to agree to pass the forced stimulus recon at a price tag of $3.5 trillion. And that it was a done deal. All they had to do was call the vote. Well, they called the vote. Passed. Done. Check that off the list. Got that one right as well. So there we go. How did we achieve this incredible achievement? Because they took the roads and bridges out of the recon. Originally, those roads and bridges were in the recon. They put those roads and bridges into something called the bipartisan, and that passed over the weekend. Now the recon has passed as well. A conservative publication confirms my reporting. The higher the price tag on the recon originally, the harder it was to pass. Agree. There you go, confirmation. But by allowing the Democrats to take out some of the spending from the recon and put into the bipartisan roads and bridges, the overall price tag of the recon got smaller. There you go. In other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon passable, and the recon made the bipartisan passable, and now they're both passed in the U.S. Senate. How did they achieve this? Because once they shrunk the recon, the progressives were able to build it back up to a price tag they wanted, and they got it past $3.5 trillion. Representative Richie Torres said we need to have a larger recon. You got it, Richie, $3.5 trillion, passed. And then Representative Elon Omar said we have to have a recon that goes as far as we want it. You got it, Elon, $3.5 trillion, passed. And how did they achieve this number? Because the Progressive Caucus, both House and Senate, were meeting with the White House daily to ensure that they got a big enough recon, and they got it, passed, $3.5 trillion. How did they do this? Well, the progressive priorities in the recon were the White House's priorities, we learned. Brian Schatz and Jalapal, both progressives, said that, quote, the White House told them that the White House considers the progressive priorities in the recon its own priorities. Wow, incredible, great news. So let's go over what a recon is, what is step of the recon we're at right now, what you need to know going forward. First, the prior recon PAC reconciliations or recons of the U.S. government were enormous. But this one is absolutely massive compared to those. This is far bigger than we've ever seen in the U.S. government. This is the largest recon of its kind. Moreover, the prior recons were consumed nearly upwards of 80% for money going only to corporations. Nearly 99% of the money in this recon is for you. So let's go over all the details, starting with separating of the recon from bipartisan, so you separate them across the board, because we're still dealing with both of them, and I want you to be able to separate them. Broadcast media is getting an F in reporting because they're usually misapplying the words or using one word to refer to the other item. So I want you to be more informed than them, starting right now. Recon refers to, I hope that's this graphic. No, it's this one here. There you go. Recon refers to your money. Also called reconciliation, also called the budget bill, price tag $3.5 trillion. Bipartisan refers to the roads and bridges, also called infrastructure, $1.5 trillion price tag. Okay, so now let's go over the recon procedural versus the recon substantive. So the recon procedural is what passed overnight in the Senate. What is a recon procedural? It is the step one. Recon procedural basically has three questions. Do you agree to do a recon at a later time of a $3.5 trillion price tag? Yes. And do you agree that of that $3.5 trillion price tag that it'll be dispersed among committees? Yes. And you agree that those committees of the U.S. government will be given this amount of money, committee by committee? Let's say $158 billion to the Committee on Nutrition. Yes. Signed, done. That's what recon procedural is, and that's what passed overnight. So what's next? Next is that recon procedural then goes to the House, then goes to the President, signed into law. Then after that, then the subcommittee, let's say nutrition, that was just given $158 billion, they determine how to spend the $158 billion. That hasn't been decided yet. And they write that up. And those pages are combined to create what's called the recon substantive bill. Under the Constitution, the subcommittees of the House are responsible for writing these sub-provisions, and they do that across the board. For example, House Ways and Means is responsible for stimulus checks and unemployment benefits. They write those pages. Let's say we have 10 subcommittees. With 10 pages, they write them and send them up to Chuck and combine them, and that becomes the recon substantive, and then that is called for a vote. And that becomes then a law. How do we achieve this? By Jalapal, who wrote Schumer letters saying, Chuck, call the vote on the recon. Well, he called the vote on the recon procedural, and it passed. The letter was signed by 12 House Democrats, part of 100-plus House Democrats who said, when we write the recon substantive, we are putting monthly forced stimulus checks in there. Wow, Purple Power, you got to push, because when these people start to write the recon substantive, they got to put those monthly stimulus checks in there as they so promise. Can we top that? Yes. As 7 members of the House Ways and Means Committee recently wrote the President letter saying, when we write the forced stimulus recon substantive, we're going to be putting monthly forced stimulus checks in there. Boy, Purple Power, you got to push and ensure these people keep their promise. Can we top that? Yes. As the President recently did it, Biden did it, he went overseas and had a ceremonial signature on a body of law. It became a law a few days ago when he signed it officially back in the States. It's the global minimum corporate tax rate minimum. And because it's not in the recon, it makes the recon substantive now easier to write. Makes it easier to write the recon, makes it easier to call the vote on the recon, makes it easier to vote on the recon, and makes it easier to pass the recon. And can we top that? Yes. As we go into the final 15 minutes of this video, as we go over what goes on next, when does the House come back into session, when do they vote on the recon procedural, and when do they start the recon substantive? We go over all the details about that as well. Then we go over what is next on the agenda with his stimulus just knocking on the door as well. And then finally, if you need help with rent, utilities, food, or internet, consider the volunteers. Where are those volunteers? They're on the community page. Open the description of this video. Go down in the description. You'll find the link to the community page. It's news.lalate.com/community. On the community page, the volunteers will help you get rent, utilities, food, internet, and more. Here's a little bit about them. I'll be back in 60 seconds with you as Mornings LA continues, as the Senate has now passed your recon procedural. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues on Mornings LALATE right now as the recon procedural has passed the U.S. Senate. Congratulations. It was supposed to take 50 hours. It took 11 hours. Why? Because exactly what I told you was going to happen. They got too tired. Everything that I've been reporting about happened. And I'll have more about that coming up now in the final 15 minutes of this video. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Next stop, 1 million. Like the video, 3,000 likes. Never forget to like a video. It helps in the algorithm rankings. And consider becoming a Purple Hawk. The link's under the video where it says join here. By becoming a Purple Hawk, you get delivered daily all the big money that's available for you under all these stimulus packages. And with that, stay on this video because we'll automatically, because right after it, we'll be over Mornings Crypto live on air. Then noontime, 11 a.m. live on air as well. It's coming up next as well. So with that, let's cut to what the president did not deliver after being elected. That was the fifth stimulus, and that was the SSI reform. Then during the transition papers, he said he was going to do the SSI reform, raising your benefits up if you're on SSI, SSDI, VA. He didn't do it then either. So guess what? The Democrats are taking care of it for you in just days from now. Fifth stimulus recon is heating up in September. Fifth stimulus recon starts with the voting process in September. Then they're representing they'll get it to a bill vote by November. They're representing that the benchmark will be that your benefits lift would happen in November. The benchmark would be applied in December for next year's benefits. Let's go over all the calculations starting right now. First, they'll raise your benefits up. Then they'll remove the asset limits. Then they'll apply an inflationary benchmark. They'll remove the income exclusion and they'll remove the marriage penalty. Let's go over how this calculates starting right now. Step one, they'll raise your benefits up lifetime. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad Benefits, Veterans Benefits, or SSA. Step two, they'll apply a new benchmark. The new benchmark is inflation. When? In December. Where will inflation go? It will be transitory, as says Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve. What does transitory mean? It means a temporary spike. When? In December. Wow, at the same time, perfect timing. How high is that inflation rate going to go? There's a lot of economic data, which I detailed on Afternoons LA over the weekend, where I showed you that I'm still staying at a 5% temporary spike before it comes back down to something normal. And I'm still staying with that. More about that maybe later today if we have more time in the running time. But let's use 5% for the moment. First, they'll raise your benefits up lifetime. Then they'll apply the benchmark. Let's say it's 5%. Then you'll step up at another 5%. Not just next year, a lifetime. Because once your benefits step up, they never step down. Then, if the inflation rate is 2% the year after that, you'll be at +2, +5%. They're going to remove the asset cap dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. You can't have more than $3,000 on hand and still stay on benefits. Now you'll be able to have some Crayola crowns in your hand and also have some benefit checks. Then they're going to remove the income cap dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away. And love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest and do a pair dance at the wedding. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will be able to get married and no longer fear loss of benefits. And if your benefits were lost before, they'll be restored. Meantime, that House Ways and Means Committee represents that the fifth stimulus recon will also have another stimulus check. That'll be next year. And finally, if you're in the live chat and you notice people with a purple hawk emoji next to their name and you don't have one, what are you doing? You need to get one. The link under the video says join here, join right now. If over 200 new purple hawks joining daily. Why is it important to join? Because daily I deliver to you a breakdown of all the big money that is available under third stimulus and also under second stimulus and what's proposed under fourth stimulus. Let's go over what's going on. In fall of last year, there was a $600 stimulus check. And I said, I don't want you to be focused on just a $600 stimulus check because it will come. You'll spend it, and then you'll say, where's the next check? And there is no other $600 check. I said, I want you to focus on getting the big money that's available under second stimulus. And that's what Tyrone did. Got $15,000 by watching the videos of this channel, paid all his rent from November all the way to March. That's what I call financial freedom because it cleared up all his rent bills. He had freedom from those bills for rent for all those months. Then in January of this year, third stimulus passed, a $1,400 stimulus check. And I launched at that time Purple Hawks, hawk, to describe people who pounce and get money before everyone else. Because I said, under third stimulus, there's fortunes in there for you to get that is application-based, far more than a $1,400 stimulus check. I said not to stay focused, do not stay focused on a $1,400 stimulus check. Rather focus on getting the big sums of money in this third stimulus package. And you now see what happened. The Purple Hawks understood that and went out and started getting $32,000, $50,000, $10,000, $18,000, $6,000, $9,000, $27,000, $24,000 because they realized, wait a second, that's more than a $1,400 stimulus check and it's available in there. I'm going to go get it. Here's how financial freedom works on this channel. The federal government knows you have some bills. Let's say you got 7 of them. They know you got rent, utilities, food, internet, mortgage, and then you got to buy some shoes for the kid, and you got to fix the tires on the car. Well, the federal government is not going to fix the tires on the car, and they're not going to give you money for the kid's shoes. But they'll pay for the first 5 items. They'll pay for some rent, utilities, food, internet, mortgage, medical assistance, all these other types of items. So if they pay for those 5 items, get them to pay for those 5 items. And once they pay for those 5 items for you, it alleviates it gives you financial freedom from those 5 bills. And because you don't have to spend your money on those 5 bills, then suddenly you have that cash freed up to spend on the car's tires and the kids' shoes. That's what financial freedom is. Getting the big sums of money under the stimulus packages so that you're alleviated from the big bills around the household and that you have more cash freed up for you. And there you go. And with that, let's go right into the final 15 minutes of this video, starting right now. Deal done was how I used to say it, and now I'm saying passed. The recon has now passed the U.S. Senate recon procedural. Here again, my reporting was confirmed. I told you over the last few weeks that the Senate Democratic Caucus had met, and that they had met and said they have agreed to pass a $3.5 trillion package. Well, last night, this morning, they passed the $3.5 trillion recon procedural with flying colors through the vote-a-rama. What happened? Here's what happened. The vote-a-rama is supposed to take 50 hours. It took 11 hours. Because what happened? Also, what I also told you, they're dead tired. They had no more energy. I told you they were about to zonk out. They were going to basically say, I'm done, go home. And that's what they did. So here is what happened. They called the vote-a-rama on the recon, and without much resistance from anyone, it was done. All 50 of 50 Democratic senators passed the recon procedural. Now, as just sort of a side note, because we all have to have a laugh, I told you the last few weeks that the conservative press was going to run fake narratives down to the last minute. And guess what they did? Last night, after our last recording on this channel, Evenings LA, one of the conservative publications ran a story that said Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin will block the recon overnight and demand it to be reduced by $1 trillion. They didn't do anything of the sort. Not only did they not block it, they didn't ask to reduce it, they voted in favor of it exactly at $3.5 trillion. Because that's what they had told Chuck Schumer and Bernie Sanders 3 weeks ago, as I have been reporting for 3 weeks. So it showed you the extent to which false narratives were still circulating at the 11th hour. So done. Recon's done. So now let's go over what this means for you. First stimulus, second stimulus package, third stimulus package, now fourth stimulus package. The fourth stimulus package is the biggest one we've ever seen. And that's the first reason why there's so much room to put stimulus checks in there. Second thing is the prior stimulus packages, some of them were nearly 80% for corporations of the U.S. in America, big corporations, and 10% for the American people. This one is 99% for the American people. So what's next? Next up is the I'm laughing because here we go again. I told you that as soon as the recon was passed, you're going to hear within hours Steny Hoyer calling the House back into session to vote on the recon procedural. Check that one off the list as well. That's what happened. In the middle of the night, Steny Hoyer issued a statement. It was already prepared, saying the House is going back into session to pass the recon. They're coming back around, I think it's August 27th or 28th. I posted on the community page this morning. It's a month earlier than anyone anticipated, not any earlier than I anticipated. I thought those would be right around there. And they're going to come right back in and pass the recon. There you go. So what is recon procedural and what is recon substantive? So recon procedural is just the box, nothing in the box. So what they passed last night was $3.5 trillion, another $3.5 trillion saying that this committee gets $10 and that committee gets $20. Not what the committee is to spend the money on, just it gets $10. It's called non-binding, meaning that now they just go back to the House and decide, do you like those numbers? So when they come back in August, what does the House decide? Just two items. Do we like the total price tag, $3.5 trillion? No, we don't. We want it 3.9. We want it 3.67. You know, they change the total price tag or leave it alone. And then the committee disbursements. Keep it the same or switch it out. No, I think nutrition needs an extra $10 billion. So let's take it for that other committee, put it over there. And that's it. Signed by the president, done. They have guidance but not mandates, meaning not requirements, as to how to spend the money. And the guidance is only guidance. They can come up with their own idea. And here is some of the guidance of the checks that are in there. Checks for all walks of life, including my seniors and my workers. Checks for free school meals for all. Checks for tax breaks. Checks for cheaper prescription medication. Checks for immigration reform. Checks for farming. Checks for elections. Checks for free internet, checks for workers and seniors of all types, checks for independent contractors, checks for workers, checks for collective bargaining agreements, checks for unions, checks for seniors, checks for lowering the eligibility age of Medicare, checks for dental, checks for vision, and checks for hearing care. And there you go. So the next step is that the House comes back into session in August and they vote on the recon procedural and the roads and bridges. Now, the president has your back on this, and Nancy has your back on it, and Jalapal has your back on it. First, the president. He says he's not going to sign the roads and bridges into law unless he has the recon ready to sign into law, the whole recon. So the president says the following, that I propose two bodies of legislation, and they have to both be on my desk in the White House. Bipartisan. If only one comes to me like the bipartisan, and that's the only one that comes to me, I'm not signing it. They both have to come to me in tandem. There you go. And then the president also says, bipartisan, I'm not going to forget the rest of the stuff I propose, recon. I propose two bodies of legislation, and they're both equally important. They both have to come to me. So that is protecting you there. And then Nancy protects you as well with Jalapal, meaning that the recon has to land in the House with the bipartisan, which it now will. And Nancy's comment is that she's not going to do one without the other. As I said, there won't be a bipartisan unless we have a recon bill as well. Plain and simple. In fact, I use the word ain't. They ain't going to be bipartisan unless we have the recon passed by the U.S. Senate. Well, it just was passed. And there we go. And Jalapal confirms that the House members are never going to pass the bipartisan unless they have the recon passed as well. Great news. So now let's go over recon substantive. So, recon procedural, House takes that up in a few days now in August. Then President signs it. Then those subcommittees write the recon substantive. Now, here's where Leader Schumer did not deliver on promise on two subject matters. First, Leader Schumer promised the American people the entire recon would be done law by the August recess. Instead, he's only delivering the recon procedural by the August recess. He promised both the whole recon, both the recon procedural and the recon substance by the August recess. He's not delivering. He clearly misguided how much energy the Senate Republicans and Senate Democrats had. They simply had no more energy. They could not do any more than they were doing. But here's the thing that's a little confusing. And I know yesterday I may have gone in a little bit deep and dark at one point on this. But here's one thing I have to remember myself. The second issue is how much has been written in those House subcommittees on the recon substantive. Well, what happened yesterday was the press said articles like, now they start to write the recon substantive. And I sort of saw that. I'm like, okay, now they go write it. And I'm like, how dare them wait 4 or 5 months to start writing the recon substantive? You're supposed to write it months ago. And then I thought to myself, wait a second, LALATE. Think about your own recordings. They don't have to tell you how much they've been writing, what they've added, what they're taking out, what they vote in favor of, what they're voting out. They don't have to show you. They may have already been writing the recon substantive in these subcommittees over the last few weeks. It's not done yet, but they may have been writing it all along. So the narrative that I saw in press sort of tipped me off the wrong direction, thinking that nothing had been written in those subcommittees. I don't think that's the case. Again, we don't know because there's no constitutional requirement they show us what they're writing. But when they write the recon substantive, that is when they decide how to spend the money that they're allocated. And the allocation is just to committees. Committee of Nutrition, here's your money. How do you want to spend it? So this is where you have to push Purple Power to ensure they keep their promises. Make sure they spend their money on you. So let's recap then where we are, because a lot of changing details and a lot of surprises across the board. Number one, the bipartisan roads and bridges passed over the weekend. It's now heading over to the House in August, around the 27th. Number two, overnight this morning, the recon procedural passed the U.S. Senate, passed within just 11 hours, even though it was slated for 50 hours of amendments because everyone was exhausted. They couldn't do anymore, exactly as I reported. Schumer's idea to put the recon after the bipartisan, in fact, actually helped you because they could have really gone after in daggers with that recon procedural, and they simply had nothing left in them. So it simply skated right through the finish line. This is the tow truck, as we often talked about on this channel. The tow truck has now passed the finish line. Now trying to the tow truck to go get that tow hitch. The tow hitch is the recon substantive. And that tow hitch recon substantive, yes, Chuck Schumer represented this was all going to be done by the August recess. Yes, he represented that the whole legislation was going to be written by the August recess. But now they're going to come back in the House in the next few days, pass the recon. Well, the whole tow truck is not passed over the finish line because it has to go to the House, but it's going to pass the House. They may modify the number, but it's going to pass the House. And then it's time to pick up the tow hitch, which is the recon substantive. At that point, the subcommittees decide how to spend the money. Those subcommittees decide where and how and when to spend the money. It combines those wordings, those texts, those pages into a combined bill. That becomes the recon substantive bill, which we don't have yet, of course. And then at that point, they call that for a vote on the Senate side and the House side, and the President side said, well, a lot of big developing details, and I told you the moving goalposts were going to happen. Finally, thank you for staying positive and staying focused, and thank you for distancing yourself from the fake narratives. I really couldn't believe that this morning I went to a conservative publication, and they had on the front, it was actually funny. On the front was the article that Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin were going to block the recon. That was the lead article. And then buried on the side was that it passed. It was like, yeah, can we just sort of switch the positions? And with that, thank you for joining me on this big Mornings LA. Coming up next is Mornings Crypto. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. See you on Mornings Crypto coming up in just a few minutes. And then noontime LA at 11 a.m. And I expect more breaking details as well. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful morning. And the toast was toasted and the butter was buttering. I was here, you were here. And stay here as LA continues.